Hi there, my name is Justin King, and I am a 39-year-old living in Canada. I'm a youth juvenile corrections officer. Been doing that for 13 years now, and this is my story about my experience with drug-induced psychosis. So just to preface this, I've never really experienced any serious mental health. At the time, I had been off work for a few months after being assaulted. So I was due to go back soon. So I had a little bit of stress on my plate, but all in all, like pretty good, normal life going on. No real issues with anxiety, depression, mental health, sleeping, nothing. Story kind of starts off, I was on a camping trip with friends for 4 days. We do an annual camping trip. There's four of us. We were doing some weed and some mushrooms pretty regularly throughout the day for a couple days, and I wasn't sleeping well. I remember specifically one detail on that trip was I was not sleeping well on that trip. Not really feeling like myself, how I usually do on those trips, just free and happy. Yeah, I was kind of stressing out at night, not sleeping well, and just faking it through the day, trying to, pretend like everything was fine and I was feeling good, which I wasn't. So go home, say hi to my wife and whatever, talk about the trip. And then I remember being like, I'm really tired, not feeling great. Just kind of want to go to bed. And she was like, oh, let's smoke a joint and go to bed then. Many nights a week, we would smoke weed before bed. I felt like it helped me sleep. But she had bought in like a 39% THC, so high potency, on this particular night, and we smoked it. And yeah, that's when I started to spiral. I started to notice all these little things that were jumping out and really sticking in my head, like not normally they ever would. Like, she had shown me AI photos that she had edited for like her LinkedIn profile, and I was tripping out about them. Like, I didn't like them. And then she showed me some of myself, and I was like, what the F are those? Like, I couldn't even look at them. They were just really creeping me out and giving me like a sinister feeling. And I noticed there was wine in the fridge, and I really stuck on that. Like, why is there wine in our fridge? We don't drink. Like, why is it here? And she was like, I don't know. When you were away, I bought a couple bottles of Prosecco and I had a drink, one night. And then I started to focus on like her kind of what she had been up to the last few weeks or months. Like, she had fixed her eyebrows or got them done, and she started going to the gym, and she got braces and fixed her teeth, and I don't know, all these things started to jump out at me. And I was like, I basically, long story short, I convinced myself that my fiance was having an affair on me, which, spoiler alert, she was not at all. But I started to I couldn't let go of it. Yeah, and then I felt, I was thinking all these things over and over and over again, and that's when I think, I remember distinctly this feeling of like a pop in my head, like a snap, and like I think that's when the psychosis really kicked off, and I couldn't think straight. I couldn't think at all, to be honest. For a few minutes, like it was like an explosion, and all my brain inside my head was just fuzz. And I remember circling my couch and just pacing for felt like hours, but I just could not calm down. I was shaking, my heart rate was up. It was like a major panic attack feeling, but that just would not relent. For the next week, I didn't sleep, not even a minute. I would lay in bed and sweat through my clothes, sweat through my sheets, sweat through, everything, panicking. I was very afraid of my fiance. I felt like I was laying there pretending to sleep because I thought she was watching me all night for some reason. Yeah, it was really horrible. That went on and off for a week. The following Thursday, during that time too, a couple times I thought she was trying to kill me. At times, like eating, I thought she'd poison my food. I wouldn't take drinks from her. I was terrified. But I didn't know what was wrong with me. I thought I'd maybe got dementia from the weed, and like it was never going to go away, and I was never going to be normal again. So I was really panicking about that. So yeah, fast forward a week, the following Thursday, she took a day off work and was like, let's go to the spa, let's go relax. She was trying to really help me through the experience the whole time, but neither of us knew what the hell was wrong with me. So it was a very weird, challenging time for both of us. We went to the spa. I remember going like the sauna, hot tub, cold plunge, relax, like doing that thermal cycle, which probably wasn't helping me in that state I was in because my heart rate was extremely high already. I could feel it like fluttering, and I could hear it when I would speak. I could hear it on my breath almost, like my heart rate. I can feel it like in my ear. And yeah, so we came back from doing that, and I remember really not feeling good. I remember TMI, but for whatever reason, we slept together after that spa day, and then I passed out for 2 or 3 hours, and it was the first time I'd slept in a long time. And then I woke up in a very intense state of panic. I found out later that I was experiencing tremors at this time. Felt like someone was like grabbing my spine and shaking it, and I thought I was having a heart attack. I panicked. I told her to call the ambulance. She called an ambulance. By the time they showed up, it had sort of relented, and now for some reason, I was convinced I was in deep trouble for calling an ambulance because they were going to think I was faking whatever we called them for. And I remember telling myself, just go quiet, don't speak. And I was almost like in a catatonic state where I would not speak to them. And I was thinking in my head, you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your wife, you're going to lose everything because of this. Like thinking I'd committed like a very serious crime. I was convinced now that my life was over. And I remember thinking a lot of suicidal ideation in that ambulance ride, like thinking you have to kill yourself now because you have nothing to return to. Your life is over. And I remember making my mind up like, yeah, I'm going to kill myself tonight when I get out of here. And then went to the hospital. I wouldn't speak to really any of the doctors, but I remember having a bit of like a couple outbursts. I can't specifically remember what I said, but apparently I'd said like I had cameras in my house and I, witnessed my fiance cheating on me, and, I just wanted to sleep. I remember screaming, I just want to sleep. So they probably thought I was crazy. My fiance showed up. I yelled at her. I called her horrible things, which I've never done. I've never raised my voice at her, never called her names, would never do that. But I did that, called her horrible names and told her to get out, which she did. Then my brother came and picked me up, and I moved out of my house. I went back to my parents, and I remember eventually speaking to a psychiatrist and them sort of diagnosing me and saying like, it really sounds like you went through this. And then all the symptoms and everything I experienced really aligned with that. And I got sleeping medication and finally slept. And I remember after sleeping for a couple days, everything started to come back to me. And I really looked back at the experience and was in shock with what I had done and my behavior, and ashamed and scared still of like what happened to me and trying to understand it. I became obsessed with like researching psychosis and, replaying everything in my head over and over again. And yeah, it was really difficult. I moved back home though. For months, I experienced a lot of PTSD being in that house and being around my fiance. I was afraid of her for a long time, but I just stuck with it, got myself into the gym, started eating right, quit marijuana, obviously quit any drugs I was doing, just focused on living a more healthy lifestyle, and eventually got back to normal. It took months. My recovery was really long and hard. I would have a lot of PTSD surrounding certain events. It would come without any warning. Like I'd be at work, everything totally fine. And then I would start sweating and panicking and not really know why it was happening or when it was going to happen. And, just being the person I am, didn't talk to anybody about it or tell anyone, just pretended I was fine the whole time. It took months, probably 5-6 months for me to feel normal again. And then today, here I am, and I feel good. I did my recovery without any medication. It was mostly just the sleep medication that I probably became addicted to as well and had to quit that. But, fast forward to today and I'm doing well. I haven't had another experience. Yeah, feeling pretty good. I haven't had any anxiety for months. So yeah, that's my experience. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I talk openly about it. There's a lot more to the story that I kind of had to squeeze in here, but thanks for listening. Sorry, I know it's a bit long, but I did the best I could to kind of keep it short. All right, thank you.